Hey everyone, just got back from Pasadena yesterday, and we got top 32, which is not the best, not the worst. I was one away from my winning into top 8, in my opinion, but the X2 curse continues. A little bit unfortunate, but I didn't come into the tournament with high expectations. I actually got in through the wait list, so we were just kind of play it by our vibe, and yeah, we didn't do the worst. We got a Nami, a finalist pack, and a Goldon, which is pretty neat. This Nami card is really, really cute. I love it. So let's get into the list. We're going to start off with our searchers. Number one searcher of our deck, Nami, finds up everything we need. Our rushers, our counter, really good card in our deck. We have our Buggy. He's going to find us all the events in our deck while being a really good stat line of being a 3K and having a niche ability of being immune to slash. It can come up, it came up this weekend. People forget that Shank's leader is a slash, so sometimes they swung his leader into it, and it's unfortunate, but they didn't read the card. We got some advantage there. And we have our final searcher of the deck, Dadon. Dadon's gonna find all our one-cost searchers as well as several other cards in our deck. Really strong card, as well as being a good stat line along with Buggy up being at 3K. So it just requires one Don to be attached to swing 5 at your opponent's leader. Really strong. So here's our other one-drops of the decks that the Don can find. We have Magra. Really strong card in our deck to buff our one cost. Makes our Buggy a 7K with a Don attached to our leader, and our Nami a 6K. So really good numbers to attack our opponent with. Really strong in our deck. And let me spread this out. And then we have our other booster of the deck. We have Makino, same thing as Magra, as well as being a 2K and a pseudo blocker, which is insane for our deck. So we can definitely create a lot of situations where our opponent doesn't have their own weenies in their board, so we can develop a Makino to serve as a pseudo blocker. So their leader has to attack into this or our one drop that we attack with. So a lot of cool things we can do with that. So if you're able to recognize your the board state of the game, you can definitely get some advantage there. And then the last one drop of our deck is Otama. Lots of utility that we can use with this card. It's a 2K. It combos along with our another card in our deck that you're going to see later. And also, we can use it to reduce your opponent's characters just to attack into it. This is really strong. And it's one drop, so it follows the the archetype for the Don. So here's all our searchers. So we have about, so let's see, that's 12, 15, 17 searchers for our Don. So that's a pretty good number. And then now we're moving on to our attackers of the deck, I say. We have a really good card from this set. Sanji. Really strong card to play on curve, and anytime you can play a body out. He replaces itself in hand when it's KO'd. He becomes a 7K attacker with a Don attached. Really strong card. I love this card. And then we have 2K Sanji. Honestly, you can probably run any other Straw Hat 2K. I just prefer this one because it's pretty generic. It's really good against leaders that like to starve you too, so it can combat that game plan. And we have, in my opinion, the MVP of the weekend and my favorite card is Marco. If you played Zoro back when he was relevant in the older sets like OPO 3 and 2 and 4. Marco was a monster. You played a similar style as build. You had a bunch of events, you can protect him. You clear out weenies, so like I was talking about earlier, how you can develop a board state by like buffing a one cost and swinging. And now you're able to play like a Marco to KO a weenie, so your opponent is forced to make a decision. They have to swing a 5. They have to swing their leader into a 1 cost or Makino. You know, it just creates a lot of opportunities to find advantage in that way. And it's also really good against, you know, just clearing like weenie blockers. There's a lot of weenie blockers to set, you know, like Bonnie. They like to play out a lot of searchers, so you don't have to waste your leader attack into the searcher. You can swing into your leader and just play Marco to clear that. And then I'm now running a 2-2 split of rushers here. Luffy from the new set and the OG Kid and Killer. Honestly, this playset of cards can probably either be one or the other, in my opinion. Like, you can run 4 Kid and Killer or 4 Luffy if you want to be more consistent with your Namis, you know. I couldn't really decide, so I was just like, you know what, let's just run a 2-2 split. And it worked out. Kid and Killer came up a lot today. He won me a lot of games. So I'm happy about that. Let's get this over so we can get our other brushes in here. And then our playset of Zoros. Our Straw Hat Rusher, you know, OG, really strong card. 3 for 5 rush. Nothing more I can say about that. It's just really strong. And then we have our events. We have our One of Jambe. And then we have our new card from the starter deck 21, Mole Pistol. So here's a really good combo with these 2 cards. You know, it does cost 5 Dons, so you do have to have some setup here and be wary not to lose your board or, you know, lose control of your board. Just be wary of the board state, you know. I wouldn't just willy-nilly use this card because you do need a 6K body in the field. But with Otama and Mole Pistol, you can remove a 9K, which is really strong. And then we move on to our defensive events. We have 3 Bad Manners. You know, it's good to cycle out all non-counters. You know, maybe we have too many rushers, or we're not playing any more buggies. You know, we've used buggies already. You can just trash them, which is really nice. Or you can just trash any other events. And our last cards of the deck is Radical Beam. Really strong, you know. I usually take most of my life as my leader and, you know, force the game to be in a faster pace and make my opponent to go for it in certain situations. You know, they either choose to either develop the board or swing hard into my life, you know, and I'm not scared to go down to like low life because I have 4 Rad Beams. All right, and that's pretty much the list. Would there be any changes? Probably. I'm trying to think. You know, Otamos was really good this weekend. But you know, it's only good against Bonnie. I played 1 Bonnie and Otama was amazing in that matchup. So if I were to change it, it'd probably be changed out for like Straw Hat 2Ks. And I would probably go down to like only 10 events. You know, maybe it's a little bit less events, so Buggy's gonna whiff more. But I'll definitely run a 4th Magra in my opinion, because I want to be more aggressive. So this could probably be like the 2K counter Brooks or whatever you want. But honestly, this list as is, I'm completely fine with. Like, I'm happy taking this to any tournament and I can run as is. And yeah, that's my list. Shout out to my homies from San Diego for testing with me. Shout out to Core for helping me get in the event last minute, you know. And yeah, I'm hoping to enjoy this OP10 format before EBO2 comes out and we have a Luffy meta again. But yeah, if you have any questions about this deck list, you know, feel free to comment below. But yeah, thank you for watching.